I'm trying something here. I've got a hamstick antenna out here, and I'm having trouble hearing, so I can't hear anybody right here. I've got two hamsticks horizontally out there, and what I've done is I've attached it here, I think. Actually, okay, so I can hear a little bit. This one, sorry, that is my dipole. This is my hamstick. So when I switch to my dipole, I was hearing somebody a minute ago on the dipole. But here's the interesting thing. So if I do a tune or a SWR sweep here, here's my dipole. So this is a 3 kilohertz. Let's set that to 5 kilohertz. Okay, so you can see that my SWR is lowest at 6.845. So I actually need to go out there and trim my antenna, make it a little bit shorter to get it resonant into the middle of the band. But right now, it's a 3-to-1 at about 7.4. So if I drop it to 3 kilohertz here, so at 7.4, I'm at 3, just above over a 3-to-1. Okay, now watch when I switch to my hamsticks. Now I'm going to tune it, or do the SWR sweep again. Horrible SWR except for one little place. So at 7.2. So let's go back to a 1 kilohertz spread. Okay. So at 7.1, I'm at a 3-to-1. 7.2 is what it's saying right here. 7.2 is my best. And then 7.275. All right, let's spread this out. Ooh, look at that, terrible. Okay. So what it does, if you'll notice, 7.2 is basically my middle right here. So I'm right in here. And it's saying that 7.21 is a little bit better. And basically at 7.3, I'm almost to a 4-to-1. Okay, so I'm going to move it to a 7.24, and I'm going to run that again. Okay, so you can see where it's way up there. But if you notice the difference in my SWR reading, so I'm going to take this back to a 1 kilohertz. Okay, there we go. There. All right. So 7.3, I'm at a 3-to-1. So where I've got it right now appears to be about as good as I'm going to get it. So I'm just under a 2-to-1 at 7.1. Okay. But if you notice, I'm at 1 kilohertz. Now I'm going to go back out to a 5 kilohertz spread. So let's see, you've got 6.825 from 7.2. So I believe when it says 5 kilohertz, it's 5 kilohertz from the center and 5 kilohertz to the center there. Ooh, wow. It seems like that coil gets loaded up when I run a scan like this and I have to stop it. I wish there was a way you could pause. Like, give me a button to stop the scan but still see the thing. I've got to stop. Here, there we go. Okay. So at 5 kilohertz, basically, and I wish they would tell me what these numbers are. I guess a nano VNA would be the way to go here, but I like this radio because it allows me to do a lot more with just the radio. I love the little SWR scan feature. That's pretty nifty. All right, so you notice I just went from that antenna where I heard nothing. Same frequency, I could hear people talking just then. So look over here. You can see somebody talking over here. Now let me switch. Okay, so more static. I can barely see any kind of a conversation going on here or here. So I'm going to tune over to there. So I can hear somebody at 7.251. Okay, so I'm going to go to 7.250. Go to my dipole. Look at that. Way more reception. But the interesting part is if I go back here, look at my SWR. It's like 3-to-1 right here. Isn't that interesting? So even though my SWR on the hamstick at, well, 7.2 is supposedly better, so if I go back to 7.2, so I'm not hearing anybody. Now, again, I've got more noise. I see more artifacts here and here, but there's nobody there. So it's just more static. And if I go back here, I can actually hear somebody. I can see conversations, and there's less static. So I can very visibly see conversations going on the waterfall. So my hope is to at least have some way of talking with a smaller antenna. Okay? So let me just show you. That is my hamstick. So you can see 140 meter going that way and 140 meter going that way. So now I'm going to switch to the vertical one, which is this port here. Okay, so now I'm on this 20 meter. Let's see what we got with that. Okay. So let's switch over to 20. And let's see what our SWR is here. Oh, look at there. Okay, let's quit this. Move over to 7.25. And redo that. Okay, so it's looking like... Alright, so I still don't... I need to go to 7.4. Let's just do this. So this is how I'm tuning everything, or attempting to. I'm going to do this again, and I'm going to change this to a 3 kilohertz. So according to this, wow, that's pretty awesome. According to this, from 14.0 all the way to 14.4, I'm at a 1.5 to 1 on that hamstick, which is amazing. Huh, that's cool. Let's try it again, just to see if it... Oh, now that don't look right. See, now it's different. I don't know what the deal is. But according to this, it looks like 14.4 is over here. 14.0. So I've got better SWR. I don't know why this is changing here. Now, let's go back to our 40 meter dipole. Okay. I am not picking anything up. Now, it is nighttime, so 20 meter does tend to die. But usually I can hear 20 meter conversations going on. So, switch back to our little antenna. Well, actually, I'm just curious. Let's see what the SWR is here. Wow. Now that's crazy. That's showing 4-to-1 everywhere. Well, let's see what it is. Now that's my 40 meter dipole that typically works really well even on 20 meters. I've been able to have multiple conversations on 20 meters. Oh, now switching back to my hamstick. See, I don't know why Zygu don't give me one of these buttons. Should just stop this thing. Give me a way, instead of quitting. Okay. So this is showing 1.0 at 14.075. This isn't very consistent. But I actually want to shorten that and go a little higher in the band. I don't want to be 14.0. Actually, to me, with the hamsticks, so here's your 20 meters, so you're 14.15 to 14.3, and this is your general, I think. Where's it at? Advanced. I don't care about any of that. I'm looking for general. I don't even know what advanced does, but extra. Oh, technician doesn't have it at all. So general and extra there. So really, I want to be able to talk to people in this range, 14.2 to 14.350. Okay? And I want to be able to do phone with the hamsticks. So I'm actually going to go out there, I'm going to shorten it just a hair and see if I can get that to give me my best SWR at 14.2. But to be honest with you, so far, I'm very unimpressed with the hamsticks. Now, I'm trying to find a more compact way to actually make all this stuff work. And I've also, again, this is not a fair comparison. Let me turn this on. But this is my end-fed half wave with 40 meters of stainless steel wire. And when I ran this, now I literally ran this on the ground, so not a fair comparison at all, but it didn't do that good. So I was hoping maybe it would work for Invis, just laying it on the ground. So what I'm trying is, what's the easiest way to get a good signal out for local communication? I don't care about Denmark, I don't care about Europe, I care about North Carolina and the people I know in this area. And so I'm curious, was that because it was laying on the ground, or was that because I'm using stainless steel braided wire? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the same length of wire in copper. I'm going to tune it in copper, and then I'm going to try different things to see, high, low, whatever. And then I'm going to replace the copper with stainless steel braided wire, and I'm going to see what the difference is. So according to ChatGPT, it shouldn't make a substantial difference, but we're going to find out. So I'm also going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to do a dipole using this with copper and stainless steel wire and see which one works better. For my kit, I really want the stainless steel wire to work, because here are 3 40 meter segments right here. It's very lightweight, it's very strong. My ideal scenario is that is all the wire I need to put in my kit, and it gives me everything I need. So right now they're all cut a little bit long, And again, I'm doing this for people that don't know ham radio. So all of the red, which is your data and stuff like that, and then you've got your CQ only over here, all of the red, I am not interested in this for the people I know. They're not going to set up a laptop. They're not going to do all that. What they're going to do is they're going to want to hit a mic and talk to somebody. So I am focusing on just the phone portion of the bands that I'm working with. Specifically, 40 meters and 80 meters are the two that I'm really focusing on pretty heavily. So if these two, I'm not going to focus here, I'm going to focus out here. I don't know what that is. That's weird. But that way, again, I give this kit to someone. They have everything in it that they need. And when any kind of an emergency happens, that's hopefully all the wire they need. And I'll just have to figure out how to trim it to get the best SWR in the range that I'm looking for. But what I am finding is a hamstick, which is this, seems to have, as you go more low banded, so up towards 80 meters. This one is a 10 meter, and when I used it, my sweep was gradual. When I use a 40 meter, it's like doop, doop. When I use a 20 meter, it's a little less than that. So it seems like 10 meter, I don't know what that one is, 20 meter, no, that's a 15. 10 and 15, I actually got a pretty decent SWR, and it was a pretty decent sweep. So most of the band with the 20 or the 15 meter, I'm sorry, with the 15 meter, I was able to cover with a decent SWR and with the 10 meter. So those are going to be my two. I'm thinking 10 and 15 meter may be my best mobile setup, which kind of fits with, I guess, your CB bands type, sort of. It's right on either side of your CB band, which I think is 11 meters. So you've got 10 meter and 15. So it's kind of straddling your CB band. And those antennas appear to work really well. And I have read that the coils, any type of a coiled antenna, has, I think they call it a high Q or a low Q. And essentially what it means is you've got a good SWR in a very narrow portion of the band, and then everything else is terrible, which is what I'm seeing. Where with my dipole, even though I've got kind of a crappy SWR compared to the hamstick in a specific place, the dipole still receives way better. Now the next thing I want to know is my dipole is using 10 gauge wire. So this is 10 gauge copper wire, and so far that dipole has been phenomenal. My next question is, can I go to 16 gauge wire and it still have the same coverage, or is the 10 gauge wire making a big difference? So I'm also not using a balun up there at all. I'm just using one of those Cobra head things, the little BNC connectors, which is something I've thrown into this kit. So it's also got a couple of those. But the idea is one of these and Cobra heads in the kit should cover just about any kind of antenna you need to make. You know, in some kind of a crazy scenario, if you can go to Walmart, grab some speaker wire, hook it up to this, run it out, and boom, you've got some way of getting a signal out, or you've got it in the box, ideally. But if something were to happen to that and you can get a hold of some wire, usually, you can find, I wish that wouldn't do that. You can find a decent amount of wire, thinner gauge, at a part store, you know, multiple places. So ideally this is going to work for me, but I'm not sure it's going to work so far. So the conductivity of this is lower than copper, and that may be suppressing some of my signal, but it's also probably because I had it laying on the ground. So what I need to figure out is, does this need to be high and then this go low, or does both need to be high, or does that end need to be high, say at a tree somewhere, sloping down to this end for an end-fed half wave? So I've got to figure that out, and I'm going to figure that out with copper wire first, and then I'm going to figure out what the length of the copper wire was. and probably cut this either longer or shorter and try to figure out what works best with this and what the difference between copper wire and this are. So I'm going to hook it up. I'm going to put it in the exact same place with both and see if how much of a difference this wire needs to be cut, or if there is even a difference. So I've got a lot of experimenting to do. But I've got a week off for Christmas, so I'm probably going to do a lot of that this next week. Of course, it's supposed to be really cold, so that'll be fun. But anyway, if y'all have any suggestions or comments, I wish I could find like an Elmer for Helm Radio, somebody that knows more about this stuff than I do. But to be honest, I've been pretty, I've just not seen anybody or met anybody. I went to a club, and that doesn't seem to be something that people do. But hopefully I'll be able to do that for somebody at some point. So I'm going to get back up here. I'm going to fiddle around with that a little bit more, and I'm actually going to shorten my 20 meter as well. Another thing to think about, so this is my 75 meter hamstick, and one of the things that I read, focus. One of the things that I read is you don't want your antenna protruding into the coils of this. So you want to get your length figured out and then cut where your antenna doesn't protrude further than that. It doesn't go into those coils at all. So of course I cut it to length, and it usually has a little knobby thing up here, and I cut it way too short. So what I'm finding is I did the same thing with every antenna except for the two, I think the 10 and 15 meter ones. I am using TIG wire. Just 3/32 aluminum TIG wire to where I can test it, cut it. It's not that expensive, and it's aluminum, so it's easy to cut. And then once I figure it out, so the 20 meter I figured out with TIG wire, and then I cut the stainless to match the TIG wire, and it was right on the money. So seems to work the same way, and you can do all your trial and testing and all that with some other kind, coat hanger, whatever, and that way you're not cutting your stainless antenna like some big dummy did, and hopefully it'll save you more than it saved me. So anyway, the next thing I'm going to do is I've got that wire in the 40 meter, and it's actually protruding into the coils. So I've got some shorter ones here. I'm going to make them work the same without protruding. Right now it's got 7 inches of from the tip to there. And I'm going to try trimming one of these to where I've got 7 inches from there to there, and then I'll trim it to where it doesn't go into the coil, and then I'll see if I get the same SWR meat stuff. So again, if anybody has any questions or comments or suggestions, more is what I'm looking for, let me know. Have a good day.